Welcome to the last section of this course, Introduction to Predictive Analytics Models. Let's see what we are going to learn in this section. First, we are going to talk about what is predictive analytics. Then, we will talk about machine learning, which is one of the most successful tools for doing predictive analytics. After that, we will introduce the scikit-learn library, which is the main library in Python for doing machine learning. And finally, we will use the datasets from previous sections to build a classification and a regression model, and we will use these models to make predictions. This is the first video in this section, Introduction to Predictive Analytics. In this video, we will answer the question, what is predictive analytics? We will talk about the machine learning approach to predictive analytics. We will briefly talk about the types of machine learning models. And finally, we will see what are the components of a supervised learning model. Okay, so let's talk about predictions. And the first thing I want to clarify is that in this context, prediction does not necessarily refer to the future. When I say prediction, what we mean is a guess for something that is not known, something that we have not observed yet. Okay, so how do we make predictions? Well, there are many ways to do predictions. You can, for instance, ask a high priest or a psychic, and this is what we humans have done for millennia. Other approach could be to use your intuition or to ask an expert, and these are more traditional business practices, and in most situations this is the only possible way to do it. And of course there are other ways, and there is a relatively new and very successful approach called predictive analytics. And its use has increased dramatically in recent years because of two things. First, we have now the means to do it, which are technology and data. And second, it works really well. Predictive analytics is the use of data combined with techniques from mathematics, statistics, and computer science to make predictions about unknown events. The goal of predictive analytics is to produce a good assessment of what may happen with unknown events. So how to do predictive analytics? Well, there are many ways to do predictive analytics, but one of the most successful tools for doing predictive analytics is machine learning. So now let's talk about machine learning. Machine learning is a subfield of computer science and in general can be simply described as giving the computer the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. The field of machine learning has developed many methods to teach computers to perform certain tasks using data. And this approach has been very successful for doing predictive analytics. Now let's talk about the types of machine learning problems that we can have. We can separate learning problems in a few large categories, and for our purposes, we will consider just two groups. In fact, in this section, we will only talk about supervised learning, which has two main subtypes of problems, classification and regression problems. I just wanted to let you know that there is another big branch of machine learning called unsupervised learning, but we won't be talking about that branch in this section. Now, let's see what are the elements that we need in order to do a supervised learning model. How do we know that we should use supervised learning? Well, the key is this. In supervised learning, we have samples or observations about something. And for each observation, we have different features, also called attributes or variables, and a target variable that we would like to predict. So the target variable is the one that we would like to predict. For instance, here, I am showing a few rows of the student's dataset that we used in previous sections. And as you can see, for every observation represents a student. And for every student, we have some features like gender, age, family size, and so on. And if we define one of these features as the target, the one that we would like to predict, then we are talking about supervised learning. Okay, and as I said before, we have two main types of supervised learning problems, and the difference between them is very simple. you know that you have a classification problem if the target variable is a categorical variable. On the other hand, if the target variable is a numerical variable, then we are talking about a regression problem. For each of these class of problems, there are many models that we can use. Finally, I would like to make two important points about this section. The first one is that we will treat the models in this section as a black box. So I'm not going to explain any details about how they work internally. This is a high-level introduction, and I will just show you the big picture on how to build predictive models. But of course, machine learning is a huge topic, and we don't have time to discuss the most basic concepts, let alone deeper topics. So just the big picture here. Okay, in this video we learned about predictive analytics, and we learned some concepts about supervised machine learning